Mal and her daughter Daisy are investigating to find out who kidnapped Ben. They went on the Isle of the Lost, where Dizzy suggested they should pay a visit to Maleficent. Is she really the one behind the king's disappearance? Let's find out. Welcome back, Villain Nation! If you are new to our channel, please remember to subscribe and turn the notifications on so you won't miss out on any of our Descendants videos. Daisy could feel her mom's stress even from a few steps behind her. They were about to go see Maleficent for the first time since she was released and allowed back onto the Isle of the Lost. She could remember when Ben and Mal decided to allow her back to society, hoping that she wouldn't cause a ruckus or destroy something. It had been Ben's idea, though Mal had declined, saying it was too dangerous. If this lead turned out to be true, and Maleficent was the one who kidnapped her dad, then it would be sad to say that Mal was right. This would be Daisy's first time meeting her grandmother. Mal had adamantly refused to ever let them meet or talk. Daisy wasn't sure if she ever wanted to meet her in the first place. It would also be Mal's first time visiting her since her release, and it was clear to Daisy that it was taking a toll on her mother. Would she be able to face her after all these years? "Are you okay?" Daisy probed her mom. She couldn't help but feel worried about her. After all, how would she feel if she had to visit her evil mother? "Of course," Mal said, though she sounded the opposite of okay. Daisy knew her well enough to know that she was lying. She just wanted to seem tough for her. All Daisy wanted was to tell her that it was okay, to ask for her help and to rely on her, but she couldn't get those words out. The two women arrived at Mal's old home, the one she had left back in her old Auradon prep days. Her mother had missed the Isle of the Lost, but never her time with Maleficent. That much Daisy knew. How horrible could her grandma be? She couldn't be that bad, right? She was reminded of all the stories she'd heard from Mal, Audrey, and Aurora. Those stories brought her nightmares when she was a child. Maybe they were right about her grandmother, or maybe her grandmother had learned her lesson. They were about to find out which one it was. "You're not going in," Mal said as she whipped around to meet Daisy's eyes. Her eyes flashed a bright green once again. She was absolutely serious about this demand. "Do you hear me? You're not going in at all, okay?" "Okay," Daisy said, nodding. Her mom raised an eyebrow at her as she tightened her lips. "I promise I won't go in." "Good." With that, Mal left her waiting outside. Daisy had lost count of how long it had been since her mom had left her waiting. She had paced back and forth enough times to have gotten tired of it. She had gotten to pick up rocks and throwing them around to whatever was nearest, hoping to hit something. Her nerves and anxieties were getting the best of her. "Where is she?" Daisy muttered under her breath. As she spoke, she heard several loud crashes coming from Maleficent's home. Daisy gasped as she saw flashes of green and purple light, which could only mean one thing. Mom and Grandma were fighting. Now Daisy had a choice. She could ignore her mother's orders and go in to help her, or she could follow her mom's commands and wait here, not knowing if her mother was okay. Naturally, she went against her mother's wishes. Sneaking inside Maleficent's home, she peeped her head around the corner to see that her grandmother was in her dragon form, holding Mal against the wall. "How dare you come in here and accuse me of something I didn't do?" Maleficent hissed at Mal. "I ought to keep you here trapped just for that." "Must you be so dramatic?" Mal asked her mom. Daisy had to suppress a smile as she overheard their conversation. She couldn't help but root for her mom. She watched as Mal struggled to get herself free, even with her magic. Maleficent was too strong. She knew she had to do something, anything, but what? Daisy took a deep breath, focusing on her magic. She knew exactly the spell to use. She took a step out and chanted, "Hush, mother dearest, I demand you sleep. Off you go before I weep." As she did her incantation, a green mist surrounded her and Maleficent, who screamed before turning back into her human form, falling asleep in a curled-up position. Her grandmother snored loudly at Mal's feet. Daisy hadn't been certain if her magic would work, but she was glad it did. "Your magic?" Mal gasped as she stared at her daughter. "You did it!" "Wait, you're not mad at me for disobeying you?" Daisy asked as she narrowed her eyes at her mom, suspicious of this behavior. "Oh, I'm definitely mad," Mal said seriously. "But first things first, I'm so proud of you. That was a hard spell to do, too. You've got the makings of a fine magic user." Daisy smiled, feeling satisfied at her own magic for working. It was a big jump from turning someone into a gerbil and almost setting someone's hair on fire. She could feel her magic coursing through her veins, no longer feeling weak or afraid of it. Was she able to do this solely to save her mother? Or will she be able to harness her magic from now on? Daisy figured she'd only be able to tell when the time came down to, but for now, she'd celebrate her win. "Did you believe her?" Daisy asked her mom, pointing at Maleficent, who was still fast asleep. "Do you think she was telling the truth?" "I don't know," Mal said. "Your grandmother isn't known for being kind-hearted or honest." "So we're at a dead end?" Daisy asked, feeling hopeless in her search for finding her father. "What do we do now?" Mal sat silently, lost in thought, as she thought about Daisy's question. What is there to do now? Maleficent was their only lead. Perhaps there's a slim chance that she didn't take Ben, but there's a high chance she knows something about it. She said, "I need your help." Daisy perked up as she heard her mom ask her for help. This was such a rare experience for her. Her mother was always tough and rarely asked for anything from anyone. Daisy didn't think she'd seen her rely on anyone besides her husband. It was surprising to hear those words come out of her mother's mouth, if she were honest. "What are we going to do?" Daisy asked, nodding. She felt sure in herself. If it was to save her father and help her mother, she knew she could do anything. There was no way she was going to let them down. She wouldn't let that happen. "I'll do anything." "It's going to be dangerous and probably stupid," Mal said, looking at her in the eye, making sure Daisy was up to the task. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "What is it?" Daisy asked. Her mother was making her anxious, but she remained steady about her willingness to help. "Whatever it is, I'm in." "We're going to wake up my mother," Mal said. I'm Lady Blah Blah, and as always, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this story, feel free to check out another one. And don't forget to put a like, subscribe, and share this video with your villain friends.